Hi, hello, and welcome to another episode of course,
China.
My name is Fernando, and this is
Ziv.
And today we have a very special guest. Ziv, tell us about him.
Mitchie. Hey,
Hey.
Mitchie Perrine.
Welcome.
He's a graphic designer from Washington, USA. He's been living in Chang'an, a rich part of Dongguan, for more than 8 years, and he's working for an international furniture company as a graphic designer. He's well known in town for his crazy party dive bar, Ziggy's, and currently recently launched Ziggy's Retro Diner.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here.
Yeah, we got you in the middle of the day, so not party yet.
Yeah, I'm still sleeping off my hangover.
Yeah.
Physically, I'm here. Mentally, I'm asleep.
All right, so why don't we start with some of the basic questions. You are from Washington. Where about in Washington?
I grew up actually in a city called, well, it's 3 cities, Tri-Cities. I grew up in a place called Findlay, Washington, which is like a town of like 5,000 people.
All right, and you work there as a graphic designer as well?
As soon as I graduated high school, I was always able to draw. So as soon as I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to go in something to do with the arts. So went to a trade school down in Phoenix and got, 2 years of study in graphic design and went right into the field.
Right. So then you went back to Washington and worked as a graphic designer right away.
Yep.
So you've been a graphic designer all your whole life.
Yep.
Right. Okay. And then, so what kind of a graphic designer job back then in the U.S. Were available? What did you do? What kind of company?
My first job actually was at a car dealership, big car
Okay.
dealership. They had like 15 different brands. So that was a really fun job. You got to take the demos out, right? So you get like Z28s and Corvettes, and when you're like 22 years old and cruising around in a Corvette.
So a lot of
These are good
pictures.
times.
A lot of pictures of cars in your designs.
Yeah. Well, they were just simple. We did these big things called it was like a double truck, which would be a 6-page ad insert that we put in the newspaper. So I was averaging like Monday, Tuesday, and we had to turn it in on Wednesday. I was averaging like probably 36 hours of straight work every
Wow.
Monday and Tuesday.
Wow. Those jobs are still there right now. I mean, you're talking about a bit later now. The graphic designer in a car dealership in the USA is doing the same thing now.
I think it's really changed now, though. I think now it's more multimedia and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure they're still in that area. It's a small town, right? People still read the newspaper, so
Right.
sure they're still doing some of that. But I know that they moved more to more digital advertising.
And then you said you came to China about 12 years ago, right? How did it happen? I mean, why China? And
Well, so the best job I had in graphics and packaging design was at a place called Jor Corporation in Montana. And I worked there for like 6 years. And then unfortunately the company kind of fell on hard times and I had to move on. And then I just kind of bounced around from crappy job to crappy job. And then there was an exact duplicate of the job that I used to do at the Jor Corporation doing packaging design for tooling. That popped up, and they sent me a email and a massive job offer, and I jumped on it.
Massive job offer.
to China.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so back in the day, right, 12 years ago, you talk about a massive job offer. What were some of the features of this massive job offer, like perks and fringe benefits and things like that you would get then that probably you don't get now, or new people who come here don't get now?
I had like my own private office, private driver. They paid, there was like a meal fee, then like an entertainment fee, apartment fee, a yearly bonus. There was just all kinds of stuff that.
Travel back home every year.
2 tickets per year.
To
Wow.
take a picture. This driver thing, what kind of car was it? Was it a?
It wasn't
car?
anything fancy. It was her name was, what was her name?
It was a girl.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
A girl driver. Okay. It's not common.
Wanda. Her name was Wanda.
Wanda.
And she was about 3.5 feet tall.
What kind of seat did she have?
She just had like a little Toyota Corolla, but still, it was like private car, right? I mean, waiting for me every day, at lunch, pick me up in the morning, take me home at night. If I need to go somewhere later,
Right.
she'd come by and pick me
So
up.
they gave you an apartment. You came in right. The apartment was waiting for you here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really nice apartment too.
Let me get back to this Wanda driver. How did it feel to be driven around by a woman in China? I mean, everybody knows that driving in China is a little bit hectic and whatnot. And she was short, and I don't know.
I'd say women are better, but driving. But
Oh, it was hilarious. Wanda was great. She was like a little ball of fire. She cracked me up.
Did she speak English?
Oh, not a lick. No.
So
how did you?
The guy that I replaced, he's still a good friend of mine, Charlie. He's from the UK, so he just ended up moving on to another job, and that's how my job became available, right? But Wanda was also his driver as well.
Okay.
Right? But you ask about Wanda's English, Wanda would be like, his name's Charlie, right? And she'd be like, Charlie. So now I call Charlie that to this day.
Charlie.
Like, no R. Charlie.
What she call you?
Mickey.
Me.
Right, nice. How long was she your driver?
Oh, like the whole 2 years.
Oh, okay.
She was great.
And that was in Hangzhou.
Yep.
So you came directly to Hangzhou, which is a nice, quite famous city in China, right?
Yeah, it's one of the most visited places apart from Beijing.
Right, close to Shanghai, right?
Yeah. So we used to, my friends and I used to, we'd hop the train and go up to Shanghai all the time.
Did they have that fast train back then?
No, even the slow train was still not that bad, right?
Right.
It's not too far.
So, did you know anything about Hangzhou, China, before you came here?
Not a thing. In
Right.
fact, when I first came over, my boss has, obviously my boss was an Irish guy that owns a factory, and he probably has, just from his business dealings and stuff and all the different factory owners, he knows hotel owners and all this. So for the first few days, right, my apartment wasn't ready, so they were putting me in just random hotels where my boss knew the owner, right?
Right.
So, and they were busy doing stuff for work. So, it's like I came over, I met everybody, and then they put me up in this hotel, and excuse my French, but I'm like in serious bum Egypt, Hangzhou. I'm in the middle of nowhere, right? They've never seen a white person type
Okay.
nowhere, right? And I had like this translation book, right? And I didn't
Book, not an app.
Yeah, just a
One of
book.
the Lonely Planets.
This is the old days.
Chinese phrases.
So, I'm walking down the street and all these Chinese are just giving me like the dirtiest looks. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get knifed, right? And I'm like, all right, you gotta buck up. You gotta be brave. Say something to somebody. So I'm like, okay, the next person I see, I'm gonna say ni hao to him, right?
Right.
I look up in the book. Okay, ni hao.
Yeah.
So I'm walking, and of course, the next person I run into is this triad-looking dude, right? Wife beater shirt, big gigantic dragon tattoo, looking at me just super mean, and I'm like, ni hao, and he's like, oh, ni hao, ni hao.
So you
complete
mean
change as soon as you tried a little bit, right?
so the looks weren't really mean, right?
no,
but
they
in
were
your
just,
mind,
they were just
in your
shocked.
mind, they
Yeah.
were mean. The
They were
first
just
time.
shocked
it's
to see a white person. Yeah.
Did you get a culture shock? That this was part of it, I guess, but
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
culture shock, yeah. So back then, you're talking 12 years ago. Was it easy to meet other foreigners?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it
But
was.
out in the boonies, I mean, there weren't
Well,
that many, I guess.
Yeah, where I lived in Binjong was like a small suburb. So, the expats were like basically desperate to meet any other expats, right?
Right. And then, so Hangzhou, staying with Hangzhou a bit, being a famous city, well-traveled. What did you like in Hangzhou? What would you do that you would recommend someone today to do in Hangzhou?
Of course, go see West Lake. I mean, it's just beautiful, right? With it's got like some pagodas, and there's actually some of the original temples, right, that weren't knocked down and rebuilt.
Nowadays, there's a lot of beautiful bars and restaurants along the lake. Really, really nice.
There's a really nice.
They have the water
bar
show
right now.
on the lake, right? The
Water display, yeah.
yeah, the water display on
They
the
do
lake.
that too, yeah.
Yeah, there is. Have you been to the mountain Moganshan?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a nice place.
yeah.
Yeah, I was there a few years ago.
You
All
can
right.
see the whole city. It's amazing when you
Right.
get up there.
And then you moved to Dongguan, Chang'an.
Yep.
What was that move about?
So basically the job I had in Hangzhou was like a contract job. So once it was up, basically what the boss was there was really smart, Simon. He'd bring in new people like fresh blood every like couple years, right? So
He doesn't know
my term was up and it was time for somebody else to roll in. So I looked for jobs, and there just happened to be one at the furniture company over here, Twin Star, where I work now. So moved over here based on
So you've
getting
been
a
with
new
this
job.
company all this time?
Yeah.
Did a foreigner replace you with the other job?
Yeah, of course.
So he just had foreigners like 2 years contracts.
Yeah.
Rotation.
Okay, interesting. Did you were you happy to move away from Hangzhou or?
Yeah, it was nice to, go to another city, experience more China.
Right. And what did you hear about Dongguan before you came here? We kind of spoke about it a little bit before.
Yeah, you guys, when I coming over, I heard, God, this place is like sex capital of the world. It's
Right.
gonna, it's gonna be just insane. And I got here and I was like, I saw way more weird stuff in Hangzhou than I seen here.
Here's the thing. I mean, when I first came here, and I was 2 days after arrival, I was sent to Mudanjiang, and people would tell me like Mudanjiang is the sex capital of China. I'm like, and it seemed like every place you go, people tell you that. I'm
Right.
like, that's
Right.
what kind of promotion is that?
Right. I mean, I think when you go on YouTube and you search for Dongguan, right there on the first page, you'd find a lot of sex-related things or girls or sauna or whatever, right?
Yeah, KTVs.
Yeah, so it's really famous for that, even outside of China, Dongguan. But yeah, 16, 17 years here. I mean, even before the sex bust, you don't really see it in the street. You didn't really feel it so strong. I mean, if you really wanted it, yeah, you could go to places, but it's not like what people think. I find a lot. Do you still get people asking about it because you're in Dongguan?
Actually, the people that when I come over to China, I guess maybe they're all prudes or whatever, but they never heard anything about Dongguan being like
Okay.
that. So
So you live in you moved from Hangzhou to Chang'an, which is a town of Dongguan. Dongguan has 32 towns.
The technical term is prefecture level city.
All right. Yeah, you got it, Fernando.
shithole.
But Chang'an is a famous one for Dongguan. I think because of mold, plastic industry.
Yeah, there's a ton of mold and automobile mold factories around there. That's like the boon for that area.
Right. So if you have products like this at home, good chances they're made in Chang'an, right?
Yep.
Is it? It's a smaller town. It's not like where we are now in the city, right?
What's the population? Do you happen to know?
It's actually pretty big, really.
Yes, it's
There's
pretty
still
big.
like 11 million people there or something.
For real?
Yeah.
No. 11 million people
That's what I was told.
in Chang'an.
If you include like Old Town Chang'an and some of the where it's grown together with other areas.
What I know is that
Maybe
the
it's 8
whole
million.
city of Dongguan is about 10, 11 million.
10 million in Dongguan.
So
right?
perhaps they're talking about the whole city of Dongguan,
Yeah.
including Chang'an.
I think
Okay, they're on
Chang'an,
drugs.
Chang'an is big though. Yeah, maybe close to 1 million, I guess. And what I always hear is that it's rich. Is it? Do you feel like locals are rich?
I think so for sure. I see a lot of Mercedes, Ferraris, Lamborghinis. Like
Lot of
Ferraris and
golf.
Lamborghinis, not as much, but definitely you can't walk 10 feet without seeing a S-Class Mercedes or a BMW.
Right. So when you arrived today, I asked you, and I said, I don't really meet too many foreigners in China that are graphic designers, that work as a graphic designer. If you do meet, it's probably someone with his own company or something like that, a studio. Or maybe Shanghai, Beijing is different. But so what do you do? You said you're working now in Chang'an. The company is called
Twin Star.
Twin Star. You make furniture and
Electric fireplaces.
electric fireplaces. What's the job like for a graphic designer or for what you do here in China?
Right now it's our busy season. So like, I probably get 30, 40 different design files a day that need some sort of correction or redesign before we send them to press. So it's busy time for me.
So you prepare the designs to go to produce the packaging.
Yeah.
That's
Everything that comes over here is packaging or POP.
Right.
Static stickers for fireplaces or, to place on products, stuff like that.
How long does it take you to just do one of these reviews or fixing something?
It really varies quite a lot because if it's just a simple change, it can take like 5 minutes. But if it's, putting something on a completely new die line because we switch factories, that can take an hour, 2 hours.
What do you mean switch factories? What are some of the issues that you encounter that you would need to switch factories?
Sometimes our company, they're always looking to save pennies, right? So as the U.S. is designing an item for packaging, right, that's already been bought by a customer, we'll take the sample that was built by the original factory and we'll send it to the designs to a couple other factories. And if they can beat the price of the place that built it for us,
The order is placed.
we'll send the order over there, and then that might cause them to need a new die line or whatever.
Okay.
Do you have any issues with factories after the print? Something happened to the design you prepared, like the factory fucked it up?
No, they're all really good and they're very careful about that. 'Cause
Right.
We got this department that's like, what do they call it? Like PO control, and it's like 90% women, and they have relationships with all the factories we deal with. So, if they did screw something up, they'd be able to negotiate and get them out of it.
For those of us who don't know, what's PO exactly?
Purchase order.
Oh, hey, let me ask you a question. You use specific software, right, to do your graphic design, but China is known for having tons of pirated software. Is that an issue where you work?
Yeah, I mean, my software is provided because I use like a Mac. I don't use PC.
Mm-hmm.
So my U.S. office, the marketing department over there, they make sure that I get the, 100% legit software packaging straight from our IT department in the U.S. But the other staff, some of the people have to do manuals and other small things using software, and yeah, they use pirated, and it's pretty flaky and buggy. It crashes and stuff all the time.
Mac is probably pretty harder to get the copied ones, I would say, right? For Mac.
I think any software nowadays is getting pretty difficult because if you're logged onto the internet, it's constantly checking that you have a valid serial number.
But I have ways around it here. They do.
Yeah.
I remember when
we have ways.
2005 around April, I guess, when I started thinking about doing an English magazine. And so I went online and I wrote in Google, what software do you need to design a magazine? And it came with InDesign.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the computer market. I'm like, I need this software. It took me a while back then. And yeah, I got like 8 RMB. And I installed it and I started working on it. Yeah. So, I mean, this is China. Back then, probably more, but still, right? Still in some way. Actually, you don't need to go get the 8 RMB CD now. You just, torrents?
A lot of people, people buy them on Taobao. Like, I know a lot of YouTubers that are trying to learn new things on this Adobe suite. For example, After Effects is one of the most used ones. You can get it for 6 RMB, 8 RMB on Taobao, and you get just a key, and that's what you type in.
I don't support infringement, but if I had to buy the real ones back then, I wouldn't sit here now.
True.
Yeah, it's even now it's crazy expensive. Now it's a yearly license, right? You get it for like a year, and it's like $600.
I'm sure we all have a computer. I'm sure we all have computers with fake Windows in them. Yeah, you build a tower, you go to Computer City. Hey, I need this much RAM. I did this more hard drive. And which Windows do you want?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it used to be difficult with the Windows because even when you bought a laptop in China and legit, HP, whatever, Asus, and it came with real Windows, which is great, but it was in Chinese. And back then you couldn't switch a language. Now Windows 10, it's fine, right? But
finally.
Finally.
I think this is what I want to do. That looks like the right character.
Yes. I think that's what I want to do. Yeah, I go on my designer computer upstairs here and InDesign, and I know a lot of InDesign now because I did a lot in the beginning, but it's in Chinese. He got it in Chinese. I'm like, where is place? Where is export?
I absolutely hate when I use my app, for example, my bank app, and they update the app, and they move the bottom, like, what the?
Yeah, until you figured it out. And
I can't transfer the money to you because...
yeah. That's actually, What do you find? You find any issues with, after 12 years in China? What are still the issues that you have with language barriers?
Oh, my Chinese still sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, but you find you get your way, right? By now,
I can speak enough Chinese to get me into trouble, just not enough to get me out.
Did you ever study?
I did in the beginning, and then I was just like, fuck it. I'll just get by.
What do you say to people who say if you've been to China long enough and you don't speak Chinese, then you're not a real foreigner, you're not a real expat, and you'll be wasting your time? What do you say to people that think like that? Because the three of us probably were on the same boat here.
I speak bar English, and that's enough. I find it. The thing that gets me through really is like humor, right? Humor is universal, right? Mm-hmm. So if I know some funny words in Chinese or whatever, you can break the ice and get what you need or get past whatever the problem is if you use a little bit of humor. So
And you get your Chinese girlfriend to help you to do what you want. Right?
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah,
She does all the heavy lifting.
that's important. Yeah. So back to Chang'an. So you moved to Chang'an from Hangzhou to Dongguan, right? How is Hangzhou second tier city? I would say still.
Probably, yeah.
You know,
I don't know today,
it's
but-
weird now, right? Dongguan now is first tier city, which is bullshit. I think, but it's a similar size cities. Do you see any differences? Do you feel any differences, foreigner-wise, Chinese-wise?
Just the city
anything?
itself, the
Yes.
layout of the city.
Cleaner, any one of them, or is it pretty similar?
I think city-wise, they're pretty similar, but obviously there's way more people, at least in my opinion, in Hangzhou than there is in Dongguan.
Okay.
I mean, when you go into last time I went to Hangzhou was a couple of years ago. You go in on 4th Bridge or whatever, you're in a solid traffic jam. Someplace that should take you like an hour to get to, it'll take you 3 hours. I mean,
Right.
I remember being in a cab and the bridge is like a 3-lane bridge. There'd be 6 lanes because people just trying to
That's what happens
Yeah.
in China.
meander through, right? I remember thinking I could put my thumb on the door of the car and still touch the car next to me as they're trying to squeak through to get through. And I'm like, this is just insane.
And you think like if everybody would just follow the rules, this would be faster.
See those
guys.
little
But the line
lines?
would be longer.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Instead
but
of
I
10
gotta
kilometers,
be.
it'll be 20.
I gotta be first.
My
That's
car's
why.
bigger than yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You don't drive here.
No, I have a motorcycle, a scooter.
You do.
Yeah.
Ah, I
Okay.
think you like it.
Yeah.
The motorcycles we had to talk about.
How long have you had it? Have you changed it?
What's that?
How long have you had your scooter?
Probably like my one I have now. It's like 150cc gas one. It's like I think I've had that like 4 or 5 years.
Uh-huh. And have you had any accidents? Have you had any incidents?
Yeah, for sure. The worst one was, usually after the accident, especially, I always try to like stay out of traffic, right? I just buzz along on the edge of the road or on the sidewalk, cross traffic and get to where I need to go, right?
Yeah.
But I remember like 2 years ago, I was going into work, and my work's by the scooter. My work's only like 5-minute drive away, and I was trying to beat traffic, and I got out into traffic, and I just missed the light, so I was stuck in the middle of traffic, right, like a 3-lane road, right. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just gun it as soon as the light changes, and there's a pass through for the other side to turn around just up the road, right. So I gunned it up there, to get away from the cars behind me. And this guy comes driving and pulls right in front of me as I'm doing 40, trying to get through the pass through, but he's on the front side of it, so I can't go around him. And I'm like, I'm going like 40 kilometers an hour. I'm like, I can't stop. So, you just reflex. I just locked up both front and back brakes.
Your
right?
front wheel went down.
My bike just laid down, right? And I was in like shorts and like a tank top and with my backpack on the back, right? I flew like 10 feet and just road rashed it, right? And the guy like looks at me like, oh shit, that's a white guy. Brrr, gone. And I'm like, you asshole.
They do that all the time.
But you would probably not be in the right, Because is it allowed to drive that bike?
No.
It's not, right? So because Dongguan forbid any motorcycles, I guess.
But it's funny. I have a friend that had a very similar thing happen, and he was on a big old KTM, right? Like we're talking like a 1,000cc street bike,
Which is still not allowed, right?
Still not completely.
Right,
if mine's illegal, that thing's on fire illegal. And he got in an accident. Same thing. Somebody pulled out in front of me, clipped the front of their car, caused a huge ruckus, and the cops were like, "Yeah, this was an illegal turn through, so he was illegal. So no problem. Take your bike and go."
Really?
Because he broke the law first. Anything that happened after that, it's like we don't see it.
Chang'an.
Yeah.
The same happened to me when I had my bike. I went after a green light, so red light, green light started going. It was raining, and then a BMW made a U-turn on a double yellow line, so I had to hit the brake. Again, same thing. Locked up the front wheel, and I touched the back of the BMW. So I called my friend, like, "Hey, I just had this accident. What do I do?" Like, say that you're hurt, get an ambulance, and when you get to the hospital, hit it. You've lost your bike forever. I'm like, thanks for the tip. That's exactly what I did. And I lost my bike, even though it was not my fault. But had I fought it like your friend, maybe I could still have my bike, but
Maybe it'd be much
it would have been a
worse.
lot more trouble, yeah.
Right, but a lot of foreigners in China drive the e-bikes now, right? I mean, it started in China, this craziness with the e-bikes, but I think back home now, a lot of people are doing it, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
of
mean, in
course.
Israel, they do it. In the US?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it started
it's
here,
all
though,
the rage,
right?
right? Green transportation is the way to go.
Yeah,
E-bike, e-scooters.
but still, like, so a city like Dongguan, and there are many cities like this in China that are not allowing motorcycles. And also, I guess, e-bikes, right? Or it's unclear. I mean, is it...
Now they see, whenever I see the cops go around, and it seems like every couple months they have, we need to get rid of motorcycles.
So they get...
And they'll take e-bikes, anything.
They take everything.
Yeah.
What they actually complain about is that they are riding on the road. On the sidewalk.
Right.
That's the main thing.
In my country is terrible. Yeah, a lot of accidents running into old people. So these kids with e-bikes, right? So yeah, it is an issue. But in China, this is like how traffic is, right? It's like you go where you can. You just
We were speaking of that. When I was in Hangzhou, it's an inside joke with my friends. But every time I tell a Hangzhou story, we all scream. And I had this buddy that is best friends with my boss Simon at the factory, and we're walking, and I'm like, yeah, I just can't believe the traffic in China. It's like, we're literally talking. I'm like, it's the only place that's safe to walk is the sidewalk. And all of a sudden we hear like,
yeah.
we hear like the sidewalk breaking as a BMW is driving down the sidewalk because the light's red.
I
So
would
he
say
just drove
just
onto the sidewalk.
one thing to this, of course, China.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's take a short break, and then we're coming back with a couple of games. All right, guys, so we're back, and we are going to start playing one of our games. We're going to play what, Ziv?
We're going to play this or that.
How does that go?
So we're going to ask you, Mitchie, we're going to give you a choice question with a couple of choices, and you're just going to tell us which one you prefer.
Okay.
All right.
So, Fernando, you go ahead.
Okay, let me see. Let me get my papers ready. All right. Rock or heavy metal?
Heavy metal.
Why? What's your favorite band? Or
I'm surprised. But okay, all right.
I'm like grew up. My older brother was an influence, and he listened to a lot of like heavy metal. But my heavy metal probably nowadays, probably doesn't. Maybe it doesn't meet the criteria.
It's always
like
the
Metallica, Judas Priest.
Right.
too commercial.
Yeah,
it's always the Big Brother influence.
I'm definitely not a not of that kind of heavy metal.
Pantera.
Yeah, exactly.
I know the names. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, Ziv,
All right,
you
next
go.
one: tap or bottle?
What was that one?
Tap beer.
Draft beer or
okay.
bottled beer?
Draft beer all day long.
Draft beer.
Yeah, for
With
sure.
the- okay. All
All
right.
right. Since you are a graphic designer, Arial or Times New Roman?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Oh.
Times New Roman. I like the serifs on it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, I'm surprised. Wow. You're full of surprises. All right. Next one is sneakers or flip-flops.
Oh, flip flops all day long. I
Flip-flops.
hate wearing shoes.
But you come from
If I could
Washington,
walk
which is...
barefoot, I would.
Washington is quite cold.
Yeah, not always. Where
You wear them with socks?
I was in
Can't do
the,
the flip-flops.
where I was in the dry shitties or the tri cities, we called it the dry shitties.
That's right, shit is.
We definitely it got hot in the summer. I mean, like 105 would be normal. So
Can you wear
flip-flops.
flip-flops to work here or something?
I'm the way you see me dressed now is how I dress at work.
All right.
I'm a
That's-
walking billboard.
So China is more lax about it. That's good.
All right. Next one, a little bit more serious. Fame, money, or power?
Ooh, that's tough. All three of those answers suck. I wouldn't care about any of those. But
What would you care about then? What do you care about?
friendship?
Fun.
Friendship,
Friendship.
loyalty.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a
All
good
right.
I
one.
wouldn't say loyalty either. I mean, people don't need to be loyal to me as long as we're friends. That's friendship's all that matters to me.
All right.
That's cool.
Cool.
Beach, lake, or the mountain?
Beach.
The beach.
Love going to the beach.
When the last time you went to the beach?
We went to Phuket for Chinese New Year.
Mhm.
cool.
You call it Phuket?
Yeah.
Okay, we won't go there.
I call
Again,
it
inside
Phuket.
joke.
Yeah.
Inside joke. Every time it's like, where you want to go? We're going to Phuket.
All right. On that tone, Friends with benefits or money on the night table?
Oh, friends with benefits.
Way better, eh?
Oh, yeah.
All right, next one.
Ask my friends about rotation. Long story.
It's another one. We need a longer podcast for this one, Fernando. All right, next one. Tattooed chicks. Yes or no?
Sure.
Yes, tattooed.
Why not?
That's right.
All right.
All right. Next one for me is the last one. Hangzhou or Dongguan?
Oh, Dongguan all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dongguan. And the last one is Baijiu or tequila.
Unfortunately, God, that's a terrible choice, but tequila.
But still, you would prefer none of
At
them.
least you can cover the taste of tequila a little bit. Baijiu, nothing kills that taste.
All right.
It's supposed to kill everything.
And this was
liquefied.
This or that. Let's continue with our conversation, right? So we were on graphic designing.
right. Yeah. So I wanted to ask for anyone that is watching back home. Well, back home for us, but they're home, like in the U.S., Europe, anywhere. And a lot of people are losing their jobs these days, unfortunately, with the whole situation. And they may look outside. Is there any opportunities for graphic designers that are foreigners in China? What do you think?
Oh, I think for sure. I
Yes?
see, I'm on LinkedIn or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I constantly get barraged by headhunters. People are always looking for
Graphic-
Westerners for graphic design.
Is it for like the big cities or anywhere?
Anywhere.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, the big cities have more, but
What kind of qualifications they're looking for? Like someone just graduated, maybe worked 1 or 2 years in the States.
I think somebody like that might be an uphill battle unless they really,
Difficult.
really met the criteria.
So you mean they're looking for more experienced?
Yeah, I think so.
What is the advantage of having a foreigner doing graphic design for a Chinese company?
Well, not all these companies are Chinese companies, though.
Or, okay, but being the fact that we're in China and Chinese graphic designers probably earn less, what would be the advantage of having a foreigner in your team as a graphic designer?
Well, English is their first language, right? So anything you're dealing with, obviously, all the packaging, POP, any manual writing has an English section, right? English, Spanish, and French. Sorry, but the average Chinese designer doesn't know French
Right.
from English.
Right.
They wouldn't know which language. This had to be Spanish, they have no idea.
Wouldn't it be easier if they hired like a teacher or just a foreigner who speaks the language instead of somebody who's specifically studied graphic designer and they have to pay for that education that he got in that specific?
There's other aspects, right? There's every day there's some sort of a issue that comes up where you got to make a command decision that you don't have time to wait 12 hours to deal with your U.S. office to make that decision. You got to make $1 million decisions sometimes.
So when they get a graphic designer, a foreigner, well, and first of all, you said it's their first language, English. Not all of them. I mean, they can come from anywhere, right? But I know what you mean. And when you get a foreign graphic designer in China, I guess you mean you get a graphic designer plus a proofer.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's an advantage. So, okay, so if someone is, let's say, 30 years old, and he's been working as a graphic designer in other countries for a while, and he's good, and he comes here and finds these jobs, how much can he expect to be paid, you think? Like, what's the ranges? It depends on the city, I guess. But
Yeah, I think the bigger cities you can get more money, obviously, because like rents and everything else are more. But I would say at least my guess would be like 30,000 RMB,
which is
each
about
month.
$5,000, almost $5,000 a month.
Yeah, and usually you're in a lot of the cases you're like a consultant, so there's no taxes, right? You just gotta. That's a huge advantage,
So it's like clean.
depending on the country you're coming from.
Right. So it compares pretty well, right, with what they get in the West, at least nowadays.
And particularly the lower cost of living here. That makes it even more attractive, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Okay, talking about this theoretical person that wants to come here, what are some of the skills that you think that are important for somebody wanting to relocate?
I think you gotta be as varied in your industry as you can, right? You should know how to do 3D rendering as well as regular graphic design as well as web design.
Right.
The more well-rounded you are.
Exactly.
Okay.
More valuable you are.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, I see some of these job descriptions and like, nobody studied all these different mediums in school. I mean, that's just unbelievable to ask for that. But there's people out there that have done it.
Mm-hmm.
You mean in experience, not necessarily studied at school, but they experienced it in various.
Yeah, exactly.
positions.
They ended up doing it all, right? But
Right.
they just had to learn in order to keep up with the field, right?
Right. All
Do we
right.
want to move on to
Yeah.
the
All right.
topic of
Yeah.
bars?
So I mean, I see your shirt. It has this logo. What is that? What's this? Where is this shirt from?
It's this little hole in the wall down in Chang'an called Ziggy's.
Right. This is a bar that you opened about 5 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So what made you open a bar in China?
Actually, funny enough, it wasn't my idea. It was actually my girlfriend's idea.
Okay.
Because she enjoyed drinking with my friends and just wanted a place for them to hang out. Before Ziggy's existed, it was just a little Japanese restaurant. And we used to go there because they had like 10 RMB Asahi, so you could get completely shit-faced for like 100 RMB. And, you know, we'd have, this place only seated like 18 people, and we'd literally have 18 Westerners in there, we'd drink them dry in their Asahi like every Friday and Saturday night, and actually a lot of nights during the week. And one of my Australian friends, Clint, one night, just to inform you guys on how we came up with the name, we got tired of calling it, you know, the Japanese restaurant, right? You know,
The 10 RMB acai place.
yes.
Yeah.
So one night he said we should call this place Ziggy's, and we're like, "What are you on about? Why would we call it Ziggy's?" And he's like, "Well, look, next door there's a Japanese KTV called Stardust, so Ziggy's Stardust." So that's where
I
it
want to
came
ask
from.
how many acais he had when he said that.
Oh, Clint?
He was a few
To
in.
make that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably 10 deep by that time.
So then you started calling it Ziggy's.
Yep.
And it was still the Japanese place, but you call it Ziggy's. They say a little hole in the wall, a place you went to in Chang'an with your buddies.
Yep.
When did it
And-
become yours? I mean,
Yeah. And then when did you think, okay, maybe we should open, we
Then
should
just
get this place?
Out of the blue, my girlfriend was like, you know, Ziggy's is up for transfer, which in China transfer means like it's up for sale, right?
they gone out of business and they need to sell the license.
They sell something, whatever they can.
And she negotiated with them, and like within like 2 or 3 days, Ziggy's was ours, and
Wow, this quick.
took off from there.
So what do you need to think about when you open a bar? I mean, in China, and I guess again, you have probably so many different ways to do it, on the cheap, on expensive, so many ways. What did you do? What's the story of how you opened?
Well, so when she kind of just recognized that I was pretty, you know, I clearly like to drink, and she was like, "You'd be a good bar owner, I think." So, you know, she kind of just threw me in the role. And as we discussed beforehand, right, I was like, you know, I've been going to all these bars, and I see my friends buy these bottles, and, you know, they cost these exorbitant rates, and then there's really no beer selection anywhere. So, you know, I was like, if we're going to do this, I want to be different. So, you know, I got as big of a beer cooler as I could, and packed it with as many different kinds of beer that I've enjoyed from different trips and everything else. So that's how I did the cooler, right? I wanted different beers that I enjoy, that, you know, we know taste good.
You wanted
then-
something unique. So
Yeah, exactly. I
The
wanted
beer
to be as-
selection.
Yeah, I wanted to be as unique as possible in any way that I could.
What about the sourcing? I mean, the sourcing of those beers. You want to have a big selection, but probably some of those beers are not available. Do you import them, or how do you go about getting that wide selection of beers?
I've got so many freaking distributors, it's ridiculous. My barmaid.
There is no one place you can get all of these beers.
My barmaids like are pulling their hair out because it's like, oh, which one was this beer from again? Which one was this cider from again?
Order that.
Let
Yeah,
me get
exactly.
that Rolodex.
I mean, it is a nightmare, but and you know, nothing against the Chinese, but they just don't understand what, you know, if it was up to them, we'd have, you know,
Two beers.
Qingdao, Corona, Budweiser, and maybe 1664 and could call it good.
Yeah,
Right.
or good old Heineken and
Right. So
Stop
you
it.
do need to go to many directions to get those beers.
Yeah.
Right. How many do you have? What's your selection?
I think we're up to 75 different beers right now.
75.
And like there's Americans, Europeans, all kinds,
Oh, yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Our number one seller, of course, is so long time ago, I went on a big trip to Kunming with my friends. And when we were in Kunming, we ran into Beer Lao, which is the beer of Laos, right?
Kunming in Yunnan.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
And everybody tried this beer, and it was like, oh, this beer is amazing. They're like, you should bring this into Ziggy's. So as soon as, on that trip, I'm like trying to track down distributors to find this beer, and we brought that beer in, and Beer Lao costs like 25 RMB a beer, but it's like 5.5% alcohol, which for a beer is pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have a dark beer, which is like 6.5%, and it tastes like a regular beer, which is all we always make this joke. Beer Lao. It's from Laos. They don't even have paved roads, but they make a hell of a beer.
So this is a beer from Laos, and it's called Beer Lao.
Yep.
Not sponsoring this podcast, but
neither is Heineken.
It's interesting because how do you import it from there? I mean, they have a distribution in China.
Yeah, they got it.
They do.
It's actually hugely popular. Just
It is.
for whatever reason, not around Dongguan. I've been to a lot of places like when I went to Beijing and Hangzhou. A lot of the other bigger cities, they carry it. A lot of the bars carry it. For whatever reason, down here, it's not as popular.
Is it a craft beer?
No,
It's not craft beer.
Just a regular lager.
Oh, just a regular
It's a
lager.
lager and a dark beer.
Is it the most famous beer from Laos? I guess. I mean, is
For
there
sure.
any other beer from Laos?
Yeah, I think it's their only export out of the whole country.
How many American beers do you have?
We got all the. What do we got?
You got Brooklyn, right? You got that.
Nah, we don't carry that anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah, for whatever reason, craft beers. Other than like we have Liberty Skinny Bitch on draft,
Right.
and a few other sporadic craft beers, but nobody in Chang'an drinks craft beers.
Oh, why?
I don't know. It's just not a big thing down there. Well, I mean, I try.
They're not very fancy, I guess.
I used to have a huge craft beer selection, and they would just sit.
Right.
So now I have just our regular lagers and a few. Get like UK beers and stuff like that.
So did you? For me, I think a lot of boys, when you are young, you dream one day you'll own a bar. Maybe when you're a teenager, right? Did you have that?
No, not really.
No, not
It
really.
was not in the books.
So it was kind of a surprise. You open a bar. Oh, maybe I will be good in that.
I never thought it would happen.
Okay.
I guess if you just get drunk with people, eventually things happen.
What do you usually drink at the bar?
You can see by my svelte figure that I'm in really good shape. So I was told to stop drinking beer, which is not happening.
Right.
And they told me that maybe if I switched to like gin and tonic,
It would help with the figure.
it would help my figure.
I don't think so.
Which didn't
right?
work.
No, I mean tonic. is,
Still as much sugar in tonic,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Hey, I wanted to ask you a question because a couple of you guys, know that I don't drink too much, but a couple of months ago, somebody introduced me to some of those European fruit beers,
Huh.
like berry beer or strawberry beer. Have you ever tried any one of those? Do you sell any of those?
no, definitely not.
No.
We have ciders. We have a bunch of different
Right.
ciders, but that's about as fruity as we get.
There's some Belgium really fruity.
I
I was surprised.
you mean like a real fruit beer, like a
It
strawberry?
tastes like lemon, or it tastes like blackberry.
Sounds like a wine cooler.
Yeah.
Right? Sounds
Yeah,
like
But it's actually a beer.
bottles
It's
of
like
James or
tweezer
something.
all the
or
way
something.
up, all the way to 4% or something like that.
Sounds like a wine
yeah.
cooler. Like, yeah. Did you like it?
I actually liked it. Yeah.
Right. Did you buy some?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The wife enjoys it, and well,
Mitchie thinks it's not a beer.
That's right. Gay.
Yeah, exactly. So okay. So you opened your bar. Now you gave it the real name, Ziggy's. Before it was just a nickname.
Yep.
And you're a graphic designer.
Yes.
So I've been to your bar a few times, and it's very unique for a bar in China. You have a lot of artwork on the wall, right?
Yep.
You made it all yourself, I guess?
Yeah. It took me, when I first got Ziggy's, it was actually like lime green walls, and it was, former Japanese barbecue restaurant, right?
mhm.
And so, I tore all the Japanese barbecue crap down, and I was like, what am I going to decorate this with? I don't want to be just like the same as any other bar, right? I don't want to be an Irish bar. I don't want to be this, or I don't want to be that. And then I was like, I like rock music. I like movies. So, I like, we always come up with different funny phrases or whatever, me and our group of friends. So I'm like, what if I just did that on the walls?
And then you're in China, so it's like less than $1 to print a poster.
Yeah, exactly. So
So it's full of artworks. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all your creation.
yeah,
That's awesome.
Right. Okay, so the bar is very small.
it used to be.
Right. Okay. So in the beginning, it used to be actually, yeah, we'll get to that. You have two places now,
Yeah.
right? But the bar was very small, and you are known for parties.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what kind of parties? What's is it just the kind of people that are there, your friends that just like to party, or yeah, what kind of crazy kind of parties you have?
You know, we were very lucky in that because it was originally a Japanese restaurant, we were able to maintain a lot of those customers, right? Because
They came to the same address.
the area has, as we discussed earlier, it's all tooling for automotive. So there's a ton of Japanese, Koreans, obviously some Chinese. You know, we had all this clientele built in, and then once we took over Ziggy's, obviously all the Westerners that used to go there still maintain going there. And you know, I think they enjoy the fact that like we still celebrate things that you would celebrate in the U.S., right? Like St. Patrick's Day or 4th of July, any of these random odd holidays, we still celebrate it like you would in the U.S. And, you know, yeah, just it turns out that, you know, we were able to cram. I mean, I think our biggest party, which would be probably my birthday, we probably had 75 people in a bar that fits 18 people. It's literally standing room only, and then there was, I don't know, 30, 40 people standing around outside.
So have you had any run-ins with the police because of situations like this?
Oh yeah, our apartment complex hates us. They absolutely despise us.
So your bar is how do you describe the location?
Below,
Yeah, it's below an apartment complex. Like literally straight up from us is the management office. So there's like that half floor in the apartment complex. And then right after that, apartments start. So it's not uncommon that when we used to be drinking at the bar, like if we were standing outside, potted plants, bottles of water would come raining down.
Right.
anybody ever got? Because a pot plant is...
I know. Oh yeah, lighters come flying down. You know, when they hit the ground, they explode.
Anyone was brave enough to come down?
One time, some Chinese guy came down in his pajamas, but we were able to like negotiate, and then we ended up getting him a beer, and he calmed down.
He joined the party.
Yeah, he did.
In his
I got him a
pajamas.
beer. Yeah, I got him a beer. He
Hope you
calmed
got a
down.
picture of that.
So what kind of parties? What can you tell us some more specifically about the kind of parties that you've had?
Do you have themes? Like for your birthday, is there anything
Yeah,
special?
what do you usually do?
Usually for my birthday, we nicknamed it Mitchapalooza, which is from old school, right?
Yeah.
And my friends always give me shit, but it's like, you know, it's funny. It started with, you know, I have my birthday in China, which would be the March 21st, but then the next day in America would be my birthday, right? So that's already 2 days. So I'm like, well, why not stretch it out to a whole week? So every day during the upcoming to my birthday, plus it's also St. Patrick's Day falls in there. So it's just a week-long party for my birthday.
What do you do there? I mean, during the party, like every day party. How is it different? How is it different than regular week?
Well, another thing Ziggy's is known for is we have the bell shot, right? So we have a giant like black cast iron bell hanging in the bar, and if you ring the bell, you can buy everybody in the bar a shot for 100 RMB.
Oh, so everybody gets a shot just for 100 RMB, flat fee. Oh,
Yeah.
So I mean, other bars have the bell, but I don't think other bars have this deal on the bell, right? So you just pay 100 RMB and everybody get a shot. Doesn't matter how many people are there.
Yes, doesn't matter.
Next time I'll ring. I'm always afraid to ring
Bar
that bell in
owner.
bars.
bar owner, I think we need to talk about this because this is something that's a topic that a lot of foreigners have heard on YouTube and social media about fake alcohol. What's the situation with fake alcohol? How do you handle it? Is it relevant to you? What can you tell us about it?
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the first things when we took over and started Ziggy's. I wanted to make sure I had legit alcohol, right? Because I've definitely been to some other bars, you know, in Dongguan and Chang'an as well, where, you know, got up the next day and I was feeling pretty sketchy. And everybody that I drank with was like, yeah, I think we got some fake booze last night. So I was lucky that Jay from Liquor Town contacted me and he came down and showed us his wares, everything that, you know, looked at what we were currently carrying, gave us some suggestions what to bring on and just blew the doors off what we were already paying.
This is a guy. Just a little bit of a background, right? This is a guy that owns a distribution, a company that distributes alcohol in all over China, right?
Yep.
He's called Liquor Town. He called himself the mayor of Liquor Town, right? Jay.
Not sponsored.
Right. Hopefully we'll have him on the podcast later on. But so he came in. How did you meet him? How did you know about him?
One of his sales reps was a guy that used to come to Ziggy's.
Okay.
He used to live in Human, which is not far from Chang'an. So he used to stop by, and then he started doing work for Jay and suggested we should switch over. So
And what was the pitch? Like, did they just come in? Did they come in and spot some fake bottles or?
no, it wasn't anything like that. I mean, again, I always I was always buying from legit suppliers, but it was like maybe vodka from this person, tequila from this person, whiskey from this person. So it was same thing with the beer, right? It was kind of a pain in the ass to keep track of. And then I got approached by Jay, and he was like, I can get you anything you want, and you get it all from one location, and I'll beat your price. So
Did you have fake alcohol before?
no, never.
No.
No way.
But you just wanted to make sure that you will
Yeah,
never
exactly.
have it.
Yeah, and then one of the great things about Jay's supplying is he has QR codes on all of his bottles now, and you can scan the QR code and it will show you
That's
what
his
port
doing.
what port came in, where it was shipped from, when it got to the warehouse, and every bottle is different. So it's not something.
Is this original
bullshit.
from the manufacturer, or is this something that he adds
something
to the
that
bottles?
he did? He worked on it for like 2 years, 3 years. Took him to get this program going.
So stay tuned for that guy in
What,
the
what,
podcast.
what do you think? You think that every bar in China pretty much has fake alcohol?
I wouldn't say everyone. I mean, I know the ones that Jay supplies. So
Okay, but even those ones, I mean, he may not supply all of it,
that's true.
right? So how bad is fake alcohol? The situation with that in China, from your experience, like, is it better now than before, or
Oh, I think it's just as bad.
just as bad?
Yeah, I was in a competitor's bar not too long ago, and somebody bought a bottle of Jaeger shots,
Mm-hmm.
and literally like 10 guys almost puked. Right, it was that bad. It was like
Wow.
rancid, and they got another bottle of Jaeger and brought over the one that they just poured, and the graphics didn't match. I mean, it was completely
so
fake.
fake Jägermeister.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so it really exists everywhere.
When it comes to bars, obviously you play music. How do you handle a playlist? How do you handle royalties for the music that you play? How does that work here in China?
We're actually really lucky, that the rules are a little bit lax in China, right?
Mhm.
We use Spotify at my bar, which it's kind of difficult to do, right? Because you got to have a VPN to set up the
Do you?
account.
Do you have to set up the account? But
yeah,
then
but
later,
also to do searches as well, you got to have a VPN.
but to
going.
play not.
No, not to play.
That's kind of weird.
Unless it's a song that hasn't played before, then it's going to stream.
Wow,
Oh.
that is
Until
weird.
it's downloaded. Once it's in memory, then you're okay. so.
Spotify. We are on Spotify too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. so you use Spotify. You have a playlist.
Yeah, we have
Ziggy's.
a massive playlist.
And yeah, you said before you have this kind of arrangement with your with people that come to the bar. What is that?
We have people that come to the bar and they can pick whatever songs they want and then add them to our playlist. So the playlist is always growing.
So the customer has a playlist at
Yeah.
the bar.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. That's one of the things that again sets Ziggy's apart, right? It's like being in your friend's living room, right?
Yeah.
Hey, what song you want to hear? Okay, let's play this.
Right. That's really nice.
All right, cool. So now we're going to take another break, and we'll be back with Mitchie from Ziggy's. All right, guys, welcome back. So we are going to play now another game. This game is called What's Up With This?
Yes.
What's Up With That? So how does it work, Ziv?
Okay, so Mitchie, we snooped around when we were nosy going through your social media, and we got a couple of photos. We will show them to you, and you give us some context of what happened that moment. What was up with that? All right?
Okay, sounds
All right.
good.
And there'll be follow-up
Possibly.
questions, of course.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so the first one I'm going to show you is this one.
Oh, okay. Barbecue at Ziggy's.
Whoa.
So we see Ziggy's there, right? And
Yep.
there is a lot of commotion outside. It looks like a lot of people. You're barbecuing. Who's barbecuing? What's going on there?
That's Marcus, Brazilian barbecue. Whenever I ran into Marcus maybe a year and a half ago, and everybody told me that he had the best Brazilian barbecue probably in the whole province. And he was nice enough to come down. And whenever we do a barbecue at Ziggy's, usually it's like 100 or 125 RMB, all you can eat.
Whoa.
And his Brazilian barbecue is just amazing. I think that night we had like 85 people at Ziggy's. And unfortunately New Ziggy's right out front, it's a apartment complex. So
The smoke.
though
will go.
the apartments are like maybe 50 yards behind where the bar is, but people still park their cars there. So there's cars driving through. So we take over like a parking space, but you got all these people waiting in line to have food, and then a car's like,
So you can still barbecue there.
yeah.
So people, you do a party, and then you get Marcus to do the barbecue. People pay, and then they can drink more.
Yep.
All right, I get it. All right, so the next one, another photo I got is this one.
Okay. That's something we're actually gonna be doing tomorrow. So that's our the main Chang'an gang for Ziggy's. That's
You seem pretty tight.
yeah, Melinda, Natan, me, Bogdan, Declan, Carrie. Ryan was upstairs at that time, I believe, and so was Chris. That's at the go-karts in Human.
Oh, okay.
So basically we have like a Ziggy's day at the go-karts. I'll get like the main group of friends that we hang out with, or anybody that wants to go, really. We get a couple of DDs, get some beers from Ziggy's, or maybe a bottle or two, go to the go-kart track, and the Whiteys take over the place for the day.
You guys are a tight group.
But do they let you race the go-karts after drinking?
Oh, hell yeah. When we first went there, we were a little sketched on it, and then we went in, and they were like,
You can't do this.
Yao pijama. I'm like, oh, sure.
Oh,
And
for
we
real? They
down in warm Budweisers, and then after that we're like, who wants to drink warm Budweisers? So we bring Ziggy's beer.
One of those, of course, China.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course, beer at the go-kart.
What could go wrong with people drinking and driving a 150cc scooter or go-kart?
All right, and this was What's Up With This.
Okay, cool. So let's keep on talking to Mitchie about his businesses here, because as you were saying that you started Ziggy's and it was quite small, but then you corrected us and said like, no, it's larger now. What went on?
So in our current spot, as we discussed earlier, with potted plants and
Yes.
water bottles and lighters raining down, the apartment complex basically was like, you can't have a bar here. Even though you have a contract, you can't have a bar here. It's too noisy. You guys are too crazy. So my girlfriend looked around and she found I'll backtrack here, sorry. Years ago, we went to Bali, and we went to this really awesome bar that had, it was basically about the size of B quarter, right?
Okay.
But halfway up on the roof, there was a mezzanine looking down over the downstairs. And, so you could go in, you could still be upstairs, but you're not cut off from the rest of
You still enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah. So we were like, this would be so awesome if we had a Ziggy's like this, right? Where a bigger space where you had a mezzanine where you could still look down, still part of the action. And my girlfriend looked around and found that where current Ziggy's is and negotiated with the owners and, negotiated way down on price. And so we moved Ziggy's to where we are now. And we have a half stage, right? So we have full bands all the time. And then you can still sit upstairs. We added a bar rail upstairs so you can sit upstairs and still see the band. But from the second floor, added a foosball, arcade machine, dart machine. And, through her looking around and being a local and finding and using her negotiating skills, we got like quadruple the space and our rent's only like 1,000 RMB more a month. It's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Wow.
So the customers are happy?
Oh yeah, they love it.
What about the location?
This is like 200
Did the
meters.
affection did the location affect your customer base or?
No, the great thing was it's only 3 minutes away from
Yes.
old Ziggy's, and
It was a great find.
yeah, and the way the building is situated, we're in like on the outskirts of the apartments, so like 50 yards behind us is where the actual apartment starts. So there's no noise.
So there's no
problems.
apartments on top of you?
None on top of us.
And you're more on the main street, right? So, probably, are you? Is this more on the main street, like easier to spot or no?
No,
No.
it's like a back
it's in the
street.
back. Okay.
But the good thing is we're near a bunch of local Chinese bars,
Okay.
so we get
Okay.
spillover from that.
Right.
It's like
So
a bar area.
no
Yeah.
more complaints from
we get-
residents?
Amazingly enough, we get complaints from like, how would you say, like they don't have like a management office. They're like kind of older Chinese apartments. We'll get complaints from them every once in a while, but we've done everything we could. We put up soundproofing. We try to keep the music down, but we still get harassed.
I would say the old neighbors, the pot plants thrower neighbors probably miss you, but you kept that place too.
Yeah,
Right.
Yep.
So what did you do there?
So unfortunately, again, we couldn't get out of our lease.
Technical,
There's a very, very large deposit floating around in that
Okay.
location. So my girlfriend has always wanted to open a restaurant. And, nothing against her idea, but she was like, oh, I think we should open a Chinese restaurant. I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely no Chinese restaurants anywhere in China. That'd be a good call.
Original.
And then I was thinking, I'm like, what could we do here? And I'm like, well, like a retro diner, right? Like a 1950s style
Like a real diner.
Yeah. And I kind of sold her on the idea, and, we plunked down some money, and I think it turned out really well. I mean, we found a 1950s supplier. That's all the furniture they make. So they made our booths, and, the decorations all like white and black tile. It turned out really well.
Did you have a lot of input in terms of graphic design as you did with Ziggy's?
Oh, of course. The
Okay.
entire thing, top to bottom, was
From
100%. Yeah. All
Okay, so what kind of food do you offer? It's a regular American diner, so burgers, steaks.
Yeah, but I took the exact same approach that I did with the bar. Everybody, sorry, nothing against restaurants in Dongguan, but everybody has the same suppliers in Dongguan. They all use the same suppliers. So I'm like, if we open in Chang'an and just serve the same food as Dongguan, what's going to set us apart? So I went out of my way. I mean, we have suppliers from Beijing, we have suppliers from Foshan, we have suppliers from Shenzhen. My hamburger beef is Argentinian hamburger beef. I mean, I didn't want anything to be the same as you would get in Dongguan.
Why? Is it different tastes?
Of course, Argentinian beef and steak. That's like the best steak you can get
So
in the world.
nobody's using it here, or hardly?
Not that I know of.
There's a famous gaucho barbecue.
El
All right.
Gaucho, yeah.
Gaucho.
I know, yeah. So the Ziggy's bar doesn't have a kitchen. No, it doesn't serve food, or?
No. So we just order. You can order from the
So now
bar,
you can
the
do that.
diner over to the bar.
So 3 minutes.
Right. And diner is one of those things that we always talked about in the past, like what Dongguan needs, what a city like Dongguan in China still needs, what don't we have.
Wasn't there a diner? Somebody who had a diner a few years ago?
I mean, what is a diner? He's
It's
talking
more the decoration.
like, no, that's a retro diner. I guess that's why Mitchie is calling it a retro diner. But I mean, what's a diner? I mean, Tropical Grill is kind of a diner, I would say. But a diner can be many things. But a retro diner is like, he's talking about the 50s
Yeah.
diner.
Madonna, Marilyn Monroe posters.
Yeah,
Exactly.
with what is it? What is it?
The
PU,
booths.
the booth with that kind of leather, like
Yeah,
red or
it's all got vinyl, right? Red,
The
really
vinyl,
thick,
yeah, the
glossy
vinyl.
You got
red
a
vinyl.
jukebox.
right.
Yep, we got a
You have a
jukebox.
jukebox.
Yep.
What does it play? MP3s?
Yeah, it looks like a regular jukebox, but it plays
don't need to
MP3s,
put the coin.
CDs, or no.
No
No,
coin.
you scan a QR code. Hey,
That's right.
So the waitress says they have any? What do they have? Those
aprons or what?
the aprons with the taking the bills on those
On the roller skates or whatever.
roller skates. Yeah.
We didn't go that far.
Okay.
I wanted people to be able to actually get their food and not like see it go flying through the air as they wreck on their roller skates.
How long has it been open already?
Maybe 4 months now.
All right. And
What
how-
about prices? I mean, what does it cost for a couple to eat at the diner?
Well, basically,
Average.
Chang'an, that's the big difference between Chang'an and Dongguan, right? I find that, like, and there's nothing wrong with it, but your food prices up here, I think, are a little more expensive on the average thing than they are in Chang'an.
Yes, yes, it is. I think the urban area, the big city, kind of, and the small side suburb. It's different, right?
Yeah,
in China,
we definitely couldn't get away with, like a 75 RMB hamburger. No one would come in, right? Our hamburger's like 50 RMB or something like that. So all we try to do, as bare bones as we could as far as prices go. But the thing that actually surprised me is our biggest seller is like steaks.
Right.
You can't get, apparently anyway, you can't get a decent steak, at least not where we are. None of the restaurants seem to carry it. So
do you have any idea about what your clientele split is, as in Chinese or foreigners at the diner?
actually, we have a lot more Chinese than we do Westerners. It's kind of strange.
What do they eat?
The Chinese love the steaks. It's like our number one seller.
Wow. Okay. So a hamburger, you say it's 50 RMB, which is what? $7? $7? $8?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
What's a hamburger in the States nowadays in
Depends
a
on the
diner?
restaurant, I guess, because you got your
depends.
gourmet hamburgers
but
and whatnot.
like-
You can go up to $20.
Right. So
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
it depends. I guess it depends. Right.
Mm.
But yeah, in the big city, it seems to be a bit overpriced.
Yeah.
in
For sure.
here. Yeah,
Yeah,
we need
you
to.
get 90 RMB hamburgers. Good,
Right.
but 90 RMB still is quite a bit of money.
Right. So the bar and now the diner and I know you tried another branch for the bar in another place before, right? And you closed it after maybe the location or why you open another place, right? Ziggy's in more in the city, like
Yep.
you said.
It was in Dongguan proper, yeah.
Right. And what happened there?
Off of Dongguan proper.
More in terms of like, I think a lot of people open places and they get closed down quickly, right? Any lessons you learned from that?
Oh, for sure. Location. I mean, and nothing against Dongguan, but if you can't walk to it from, Dongcheng-Zhou-Bajie, you ain't going to be in business very long.
Mm.
So it's all about location.
I think
okay.
it has something to do also with the way foreigners run businesses here. Because you said it earlier when we were doing the preparation talk. You said the bar is me. My English training center is me.
It's true.
Miguel's Pizza Place is him.
Right.
Jason's One for the Road is Jason.
Right.
So the person is really important. So that's why it's so
And
difficult
you
to
can't
duplicate.
you can't be in two places at
Exactly.
once.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Right. It's 100% true. You see a lot of foreigners that maybe make good salary, and they say, I can open a bar, and that for them the first place is not even them. You know what I mean? Like they think they can just open it and keep their
Their day
job
job.
without being there every day,
Mhm.
right? And it doesn't really work like that. And I guess that's one of the reasons because you couldn't be there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If people knew I was going to go up there, then yeah,
They
we'd,
would
have,
show
we'd
up.
have a big night and they would show up. But
Right.
then the one in Chang'an is struggling,
Correct.
vice versa.
Right. So are you content right now with the two places you have in Chang'an?
Yeah, I've made a new day. It's a 28-hour day.
Do you go between? Well, it's not. It's like 3 minutes walk, right?
Yeah.
You get a little exercise.
I try to put in
Cardboard.
even hours between my day job, the diner job, and the bar job.
So the diner is open from lunchtime.
Yeah, we open it from 11 till 2 every day, except for actually we're changing to Tuesdays now. We'll be closed on Tuesdays.
What do you recommend to anyone, any foreigner coming to China, working here for a bit, and thinking of opening a restaurant or a bar?
Be prepared for a large headache. Especially if you have a lot of friends with like input. It's very frustrating because maybe you like onions on your hamburger, maybe you like pickles,
Right.
maybe you won't eat your hamburger if it came with onions, maybe you won't eat your hamburger if it came with pickles.
Right.
They're just food. There's everybody has their own.
That's
And-
F&B. Yeah.
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 So they always want you to make it their way. So I feel sorry for our chefs because they gotta
you can have.
memorize the way everybody likes.
You can
things.
have 75 kinds of beers, but you cannot have 75 kinds of burgers.
No.
Give me a ziv.
yeah. Give me the ziv. Yeah. Right.
2 zivs or table 4. Do you hire foreigners?
Now we have 2 Chinese waitresses, and actually we do. I guess technically we do. We have a Filipino chef.
Oh, okay. And how do you get them to? Do you teach them how to do things, or do they come from other restaurants?
So Chef Armin, we have Chef Armin and Chef Amber, which they're a great team. Chef Amber, like her specialties like salads and stuff like that, but she's really picking up on the Western stuff. But
Not your
Armin's been a chef for like 25 years.
Wow.
He's almost as old and dead as I am. And it amazes me. I can just be like, Armin, do you know how to make this? Oh yeah, no problem, boss. And it's like, the most random thing, right? And he knows, he's, God bless Armin, but his English isn't that great, right? So I have to write the ads for it. Like the other day, he posted like, boss, we're gonna have spaghetti shrimp flaming vodka, and I'm like,
Oh, wow.
what? I'm like, you mean like there's like a flaming sauce that goes on it? Yes. I'm like, okay, well, post that in our diner group, right? So, Chef Amber and everybody that works for the diner knows what they need to know, right? He posted in the group and everybody's like, vodka's only 75 tomorrow and it's going to be on fire? What? And I'm like, what Chef Armin meant was...
In the big group, you mean?
Yeah, he posted it in the big Ziggy's group.
Right.
Of course,
So-
China.
Yes. So how do you do the marketing? How do you get people to know about your places?
As many ways as I can. I mean, we're on TripAdvisor.
Okay.
I also use, obviously, Facebook for bigger events, not for day-to-day
You
stuff.
do? Okay.
Yeah, I have a Ziggy's page for
You do have a Ziggy's
on
page,
Facebook.
right? Okay.
But it's only for like bigger events. Like if I'm going to have like a big band come down or my birthday or something, we'll do an event on Facebook. Then obviously mostly WeChat.
WeChat.
How about Douyin?
Douyin,
Douyin.
TikTok. You don't do that.
Nope.
So you do WeChat, Weixin. You do your moments.
Yep.
But you don't have you do have an account actually, I think, right? You
Yeah.
have a
Yeah, we have a
official-
big
but you don't
professional account. Same thing. We don't use it unless
you don't
it's
use
for a
it,
big event.
right. So you just push it on your moments on your feed,
Yeah. Yep.
and probably a lot of people unfriend you or unfollow you
Yes,
after
of
a
course.
while, of course, right?
course.
But you do have the groups.
Yeah.
I guess the groups is a good marketing tool because it's the people that are there want to be there and want to see it,
Yeah, of course.
right? The regulars and all those kind of people.
And it is funny. But people tell me all the time, you advertise way too much. I'm like, I disagree because every time that I advertise, I can go into the bar that night and like, did anybody do the special thing? Oh yeah. This person, this. I'm like, well,
They see.
clearly not everybody's blocked me.
Yeah,
Some
and
people
it
are
works.
still
Right.
reading. Some
Right.
people still want to save money.
right. So you design your ads, your stuff, and your posters, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
I always try to make them a little bit tongue in cheek, try to make them funny.
Are there? So we spoke a little bit about it before, but I mean, Chinese clients and foreign clients. Any main difference?
That's a tough one. Not really. I don't think so. I mean, the Chinese want to be there just as much as the Westerners, right? And if you like we discussed earlier, if you try to break that language barrier and be just as friendly and welcoming to them as you are to the Westerners, then everybody's the same, right?
So I would guess you'd agree that it's not a good idea to start a bar and think this is a bar just for foreigners.
That'd be terrible.
That would be
Terrible,
stupid.
right?
You'd fold quickly.
Right. Okay.
What are some of your special drinks? Do you have cocktails that are like the signature drink at the bar?
For sure. One of my buddies is Natan, and Natan and I just randomly drinking one night. Natan's like, he was having a bad day, and he's like, I really want to get shit faced tonight. I'm like, okay, well, he drinks gin and tonics with me all the time, right? And he's like, one night he's like, what if we get, so at Ziggy's we have our large cocktail glasses are about the size of that Dixie cup, right? So we have, me and Natan will drink like triple gins all night, right? And one night he's like, what if we added some vodka to that? And I'm like, that sounds like it would get us pretty shit-faced. And he's like, well, let's do it.
You're going Breaking Bad at the cocktail
Yeah.
bar.
So we came up with this drink called the Gin Atomic. And
Gin
it's
atomic instead.
3 full shots of gin plus a shot of vodka in a glass that size.
Is it on the menu?
Yeah, it's on the menu.
It's on the menu.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then our other one is the Easter Island iced tea. So instead of a Long Island iced tea, it actually comes in a Easter Island head glass, like a black Easter Island head glass, and it's double the alcohol that goes in an Easter Island in a Long Island iced tea, then a shot of baijiu.
What kind of things you see after you drink like that?
Stop hallucinating.
No, I mean your
see the
friends,
ceiling
your
spinning.
your gang. People fell asleep at the bar. People stay there all night till the morning. I mean the stuff you see running a bar like this in China.
Oh, we have so
There's a non-disclosure at the door.
Yeah.
if you didn't want to get drunk, don't come in here.
Yeah.
I mean I think our record is in one night. Our record, I think at Old Ziggy's, I don't think we've beat it at the new Ziggy's yet. Was 25 bell shots in one night,
Jesus.
and we're talking. You can do anything. Well, any regular bottle, right? So you could do vodka, you could do tequila, you could do whiskey, you could do
You choose.
Fireball. Yeah, you can pick what your shot is, right? So imagine drinking 25 different shots of vodka, tequila, all that percolating.
Mixed also.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't a good night.
Are you allowed to decline anyone?
No,
No.
not unless you want to let it ridicule.
Oh, you're out.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, one of the things that I've always thought about a bar is that it brings a lot of your friends. And a lot of your friends, do they have a tab that they can put their drinks on? How does that work? Is that dangerous? Is that something you do?
Yeah, we're a smaller bar. I mean, obviously we prefer not to do it because we've been burned a couple of times. But Chang'an's like it's like a small town, right? So everybody knows everybody. So yeah, we have a couple of friends that have earned the right to they'll run a tab, and at the end of the month they always settle up. So
Right. Sounds like a family.
yeah, it
Kinda.
is very family oriented.
Both for the diner and the bar?
Nobody really does it at the diner. Seems when people eat, they always have the money and they just pay right on the spot.
Right. Did you so also like I asked you about the bar, right? Did you I guess you the same answer would be you never thought you'd own a restaurant?
Oh, definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could go back in time.
But you do eat there every day?
Yes, again, you see my svelte figure. You can tell that I'm eating healthy food every day.
And after all the drinking at your bar, you still show up to work every morning?
Yep. Yeah, it's a brutal
It's an
life.
ability.
Yeah. Well, I'm on my fourth lung and my fourth liver, so iron livers go a long way.
I wanted to ask you a question because this is something for a lot of foreigners that are here for a very, very long time. Is there an exit strategy or retirement strategy for foreigner who's been in the city for this long?
I think
Do
it's
you even
different.
think about that?
It's different for me though, right? I mean, I have like multiple businesses going, and I don't plan on leaving China, so I think it's different for me. I mean, if you're a teacher or something, I think it's a little more difficult. But for me, I mean, actually, my girlfriend and I's the dream is, someday in like Phuket or Cambodia, maybe the Philippines, open another Ziggy's, so we have a source of income coming in there, right? I mean, it's not that complicated of a business model. It's finds a place with cheap rent and a good location, good decoration, good music, good alcohol selection. I would think that people would want that anywhere they go. So that's kind of our dream retirement, is we someday find a place and start that, and then we have income when I'm retired.
How much money can you make from a bar in China? Can you make enough money to you save? Can you buy another property? Or it's not like that?
You have to work let's say you have to work your ass off. I mean,
For
unfortunately,
years.
for us, we tried the business,
So you lost some money in other places.
Yeah, exactly. We're still trying to rebuild that. I mean, original Ziggy's, we made really good money very quickly.
Right.
But then that's what spurred, maybe we could open a second one.
So then you spend the money there.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens. It happens to many of us, I think.
This is the question that I like to ask a lot of Americans, and I think it's interesting for people who probably are thinking about coming to China. How do you feel about the level of freedom that you have here in China? A lot of people say like, oh, I wouldn't go to China to live or work or anything because there's no freedom. What's your take on that? I mean,
they've clearly never been here. There's way more freedom, at least for me, in China than I've had in the U.S. all day long.
How important is freedom of speech for you? Which is one of the things that they usually just throw on the table. Like, hey, freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want about my president and not be in trouble.
Yeah, actually, you can't though, right? We all know that's not true. You can't say I wish Trump would get shot. The FBI is going to be knocking on your door in about 2 hours. So yeah, but freedom of speech, it's not really a big deal. I mean, stuff like that I don't give a rip about, but just the other simple things, right? I mean, I own a bar, so obviously all my examples will be drinking related. But I think it's great that I can walk from the diner with a gin and tonic over to Ziggy's bar, and there's cops aren't going to fucking slam me on the ground and arrest me for open container in public. Or I can drive from Dongguan up to down to Chang'an with a beer in the car with my DD driver and not going to get pulled over for open
You're just
container.
a passenger, right? Right.
I mean, it's there's just little weird freedoms like that you haven't. Motorcycles are illegal, right? But I've had a motorcycle for like 4 years here in Chang'an. There's like Ziv said, they have other more important things to do, and so there's just a lot of freedoms that in the U.S. if they would just concentrate on the bad things that they should be concentrating on, life would be a lot better, right? But they concentrate on every single thing.
So it sounds like you'd recommend people to come here. I guess it's certain kind of people, right?
Yeah, I think I've met people that came over and they lasted like 3 months and they just couldn't handle China.
Right. So but yeah, there are those, and there are those like us, I guess, that are here.
They come to see that it's not as bad as it is pictured outside, and
Right. I mean, it's nothing is perfect. You make the place what it can be for you.
That's
think.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I approach everything with a sense of humor, right? I mean, the things that drive us crazy, we just sit around and a group of Western friends will laugh about it, right? They're all like inside jokes, right? Don't let it like drive your day. I mean, it's not worth freaking out and concentrating on the little weird things that they do here that you don't like.
The bottom line is that you can definitely have a pretty good life here. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right, guys. So, Mitchie, we want to thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh,
thank you for
guys.
taking the time. Thank you for coming
here.
all the way from Chang'an to Dongguan and sit with us. And, well, guys, that's all the time we have for today. You know how it goes. We want you to click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And when you do that, don't forget to hit the bell button to be notified whenever we have a new video up. And, well, make sure to follow us in the social media that is printed right here on the screen. And, well, that has been, of course,
China.
bye for now.